Alright, let me keep this brief or you'll knock out my teeth. It's a bit of a long video today, so let's not beat around your girl's bush. Today on Ring of the Hawk Season 6, Mick Foley will compete for the third time across 6 seasons. Mick Foley is one of the most famous wrestlers in the last few decades. He's of course remembered for his crazy hardcore antics as Cactus Jack and Mankind. But what about the other face of Foley, the one that's rarely talked about? Today's video was a Patreon request by Crush Bra. If you want to make the Hawk talk, sign up today. Alright, it's Dude Love. Was he somebody to shove? It all starts out in the summer of 1997 with Mick Foley begging Steve Austin to be his tag team partner. Austin had won the tag belts with HBK, who then got injured, and Austin needed to find a new partner to fight for the vacant belts. Stone Cold was initially unwilling to team up with the Freak Mankind, but eventually Mick got through to him. Match 1, Raw, WWF Tag Title Match. The Bulldog and Owen Hart take on Austin in a 2-on-1 handicap match for the vacant WWF tag belts. Austin does fight most of this match on his own before Mick Foley decides to join him and debut his new persona, Dude Love. He describes himself as the hippest cat in the land. Austin's facial expressions are just hilarious during this segment, by the way. Despite having reservations, Austin does tag him in against Owen. Love gives Owen a big knee in the corner. Austin refuses to tag back in and Owen grabs his eyelash. Mick Foley slips out of a British Bulldog power slam and almost gets the mandible claw on before Owen breaks that up with a missile dropkick. Austin sneaks into the ring and hits the Bulldog with a stunner, and Foley makes the pin. That must be a first, a title win on the first match of Ring of the Hawk. Foley celebrates with some ring rats, and for some reason, that wins Austin over. I guess he likes a real man's man. Not much in the way of wrestling to talk about, but it was pretty entertaining. A C for the debut. Match 2, Raw, 6-man tag flag match. The Hart Foundation take on Stone Cold Steve Austin, Dude Love, and The Undertaker, who joins later on. Owen gives Austin and Dude a meeting of the minds. It is not starting well as Owen hits an enziguri kick. We're in Canada here, so Foley is a heel. He breaks up Owen's attempt to get the flag by smashing him in the nutsack and dancing with happiness. Owen comes back for DDT. Love really seems to struggle in this one, especially with Owen Hart, who hits him with a back suplex and a spinning heel kick. Dude Love has to tag the Rattlesnake. It is a pretty short match and it ends when Brian Pillman stops the dead man from winning and Bret Hart gets the Canadian flag down. Not a great deal to say, it's a D. Match 3, Raw, tag title match. The challengers are the Godwins and the champions are Dude Love and the Rattlesnake. Foley quickly hits a cutter across the ropes and a clothesline. Dude dances with happiness and he tags out. He's back in soon after hitting a double arm DDT on the Hog. Phineas makes the save and the Godwins take back over. One of them scoop slams the other on top of Foley. Phineas gives Foley a big boot before Foley comes back with a Bulldog and he tags out. Stone Cold should have it won, but he's sent from the ring and Owen smacks him with a tag belt and the match gets thrown out for DQ. Doesn't feel like there's much of a focus on Dude right now. Another D. Match 4, Raw, Owen Hart vs Dude Love. Okay, finally a proper match for the Ring of the Hawk. Dude gets a start of a Bulldog. The Summer of Love seems to be in full effect here. Owen catches Dude's kick and spins him around so Dude can hit him with a clothesline. Now Dude pretends he's going to fly, but instead he scrambles down to hit another clothesline. Owen counters his next move with a spinning heel kick. Dude throws Owen out of the ring and they fight in front of a miserable looking Bret Hart. Dude randomly tries a running, dancing elbow down the ramp, which hilariously misses. Owen hits a missile dropkick back into the ring, but he's too busy showing off to make a pin. Foley's really struggling though, he gets booted off the ring apron now. Owen is putting on a clinic, he hits a scoop slam and a diving elbow for a 2 count. Mick is once again kicked out of the ring as the Bulldog causes a distraction allowing Bret to get involved. Owen has him in the sharpshooter. The Rattlesnake wanders down the ramp and he steals Owen's slammy and gives him a slammy in the head. Dude Love wins the match. Really enjoyable, these two had some good chemistry and Dude was a lot of fun here. You just feel happy watching this match, it's a B from the Hawk. But the happy times don't last forever because Owen gives Austin a bruised spinal column after a pile driver. Match 5, Shotgun Saturday tag match. Goldust teams up with Dude Love to take on the British Bulldog and Owen Hart. Dude starts with Owen Hart. Dude avoids a smack and dances with happiness. He hits the first move of the match with a bat body drop. Foley starts tuning up the band and he hits a kick to the shin and a snapmare for a 2. Goldust gets the tag. After an advert break, Dude is back in, getting knocked down with an Owen Hart spinning heel kick. The British Bulldog hits a kitchen sink and Owen Hart lands a leg drop for a 2. Owen Hart is relentless and he hits a net breaker and a diving something for a 2. The British Bulldog comes back in and works with Owen to hit a double back elbow. Bulldog misses his next move though and tags are made. The match breaks down and Brian Pillman rushes out as Goldust hits a Bulldog. He's distracted by Pillman and Owen Hart rolls up Goldust for the 3. Just not good, there was nothing to like here, it's an S. Match 6, Friday night's main event. Rockabilly Gunn takes on Dude Love. Jim Cornette just can't understand this guy's popularity. Just like the last match, Dude dodges a punch and dances with happiness. He beats Rockabilly across the ropes, which makes him dump in his nappy of fear and beg for forgiveness. Turns out though, he didn't really dump and he's playing possum. Dude gets a beat down in the corner. Foley tries to make a comeback until a kitchen sink hits him. He dodges Billy's next move and starts throwing smacks. Dude hits a net breaker but misses his elbow drop. Dude starts tuning up the band and he hits sweet shin music. Dude finishes off Billy Gunn with a double arm DDT. Dude believes that Stone Cold Steve Austin will be back soon. He compares him to a horse and a cheap toilet paper because he don't take shit off nobody. Some ring rats jump Foley and everyone's just having a good old time here. It's a C from the Hawk. Match 7, Friday night's main event, British Bulldog vs Dude Love. Bulldog ain't messing about here, he delivers a vicious beating on the outside of a belt. After a few shots, he moves on to using a steel chair. We do make it to the ring, and this ref is sure a dick. Bulldog smashes into Foley for a while like a moron. Dude Love keeps trying sleepers in this match, but he's thrown from the ring. The British Bulldog kicks Dude into a fence. This feels more like a damn street fight in here. Foley flies over some steps now. The Bulldog leg drops him back in the ring for a 2. Dude starts getting desperate and steals his partner's Stone Cold Stunner. That doesn't end the match though, and Foley smashes the Bulldog's massive meathead into the turnbuckles 10 times for a 2. Foley starts closing in on victory after a net breaker. He tunes up the band and hits sweet shin music and then the double arm DDT. The ref is about to count the 1, 2, 3 when Owen Hart breaks at the pin, so Mick Foley wins by DQ. Owen swears he's going to break Dude's neck just like he did Austin's, but the Legion of Doom make the save. I enjoyed it, but I'm not sure if that sweet shin music is really catching on. It's a C. Once again, bad times have to reign on our parade because the tag belts are vacated due to Austin's neck injury. Match 8, Raw, IC title tournament, Dude Love vs Brian Pillman. Pillman wants to wrestle and Foley doesn't. Dude Love misses a charge and falls out of the ring. Back in the ring and Pillman hits a jumping clothesline for a 2. Foley ain't down for long though and he starts mashing Pillman's head into the turnbuckles. Dude hits a net breaker and he starts tuning up the band when Goldust rushes into the ring and attacks Pillman and the match is thrown out for DQ. Not good, no focus on Foley at all, it's an S. Match 9, One Night Only 1997, Hunter Hearst Helmsley vs Dude Love. Dude's all over him in the early gun. Hunter gets a back body drop and he starts dumping in his nappy of fear. Dude pulls Helmsley out of the corner and drops him to the mat. Not quite a powerbomb. Dude gets distracted dancing though and Hunter grabs an eyelash. Hunter can't take advantage as Dude boxes him back down. Triple H tries to interrupt a strut now, but Dude is too smart for him. Dude does a twisting armbar takedown for a 2 count. This match is moving at a snail's pace now. Dude dodges a drop toe hold but succeeds on one of his own. Dude now sends Hunter upside down in the corner and I have no idea what this punches in the corner was supposed to be. If it was punches in the corner, it looks stupid. Doesn't matter because Dude is dominating. Foley tunes up the band, which makes the game run outside of the ring. On the outside there's a chase scene now. The diarrhea is dribbling all over Wembley tonight. Predictably, Dude runs into a clothesline from China. Hunter cutters him back across the ropes into the ring. Triple H now hits a jawbreaker into his knee for a 2. Helmsley is being a dick and the referee considers disqualifying him. That gives Dude an opening. He gets a 2 off a Bulldog. The game reverses his next move and he hits a net breaker. I'm not sure which way this one's going with Foley hitting a catapult into the corner now. Back on their feet and Dude hits the game into the corner 10 times. You can see where broken Matt Hardy got that one from now. The game makes a poor decision to try and dive and Foley arm drags him back down from the top. He tunes up the band again. This time it connects and more importantly the double arm DDT does too. China puts Triple H's foot on the ropes. The game simply hits the pedigree and it's over. A decent match I guess. We got a bit more variation here and the fans liked it, a C. Match 10, Shotgun Saturday, Jose Estrada representing Los Barricas takes on Dude Love. Jose desperately tries to fight out of an armbar, it looks so silly. Estrada gets annoyed at being out wrestled and throws headbutts. Dude reverses an Irish whip and he struts around like a constipated peacock. He pays for that. Estrada hits a clothesline in the corner for a 2. He also hits a scoop slam now and a couple of fist drops, one of them is blocked. Dude's back in the game now. He hits a Bulldog and 10 head smashes in the corner. Dude tunes up the band and the crowd are actually reacting now. The double arm DDT is the finish. Pretty entertaining for a squash match, you can see why the crowd love Dude Love, it's a D. Match 11, Shotgun Saturday, Dude Love takes on the Sultan, who is Rikishi in one of his failed gimmicks. Despite that, the Sultan gets the first knockdown. This match isn't really a great watch. Dude Love fails on a sunset flip, but the Sultan isn't in a rush to capitalise. Dude turns the Sultan inside out of a clothesline, there's that famous Rikishi bump. Anyway, it ends with sweet chin music and the double arm DDT. Worst match so far, it's an S. Match 12, Raw, singles match, Rocky Maivia takes on Dude Love. Very early into their history here. The crowd are all over Rocky and Foley isn't helping make him more popular. Rocky works on his arm for a second before Foley grabs an eyelash. Mick Foley tries to work his arm too, he looks like he's just messing about in there. Rocky has to leave the ring to regroup. It goes a bit better on his return as he hits a DDT. Unfortunately for The Rock, they decide to go to an advert break as he does the people's elbow. It just wasn't an established move yet, but that ain't gonna help him get that move over. Foley smashes his head into the corner 10 times. He hits sweet shin music and a double arm DDT. The Nation won't let it go down like that and they cause a DQ finish. Stone Cold saves Foley from a further ass whooping. Unfortunately, not much of a match, it's a D. Match 13, Shotgun Saturday. Dude Love again takes on the Sultan. Dude hits an early bulldog. The Sultan somehow looks fat and muscly all at the same time. He also hits a neckbreaker. The sweet shin music is blocked, but Foley still stays on top. Foley gets distracted trying to do a wacky punch combination, so the Sultan super kicks him. Big Quiche gets a 2 on a clothesline now. Randomly in this pointless match, the Sultan hits a pile driver. He's too much of a moron to make a pin though. Dude thinks it's stupid too and he wins with a double arm DDT. Better than the last match, but that's like saying the turd I did yesterday was better than the turd I did today. It's a D. Match 14, Shotgun Saturday, Marvelous Mark Mero versus Dude Love. No one gets an entrance, but Dude does get a promo. It's just him winding up Mero about Sable being more popular than he is. Basically, Mero dominates this match with Foley getting the occasional hope spot. Mero hits a double axe which causes Foley to hit a bunch of punches. Each punch is somehow completely different to the last. Foley hits sweet shin music and the double arm DDT, but he's distracted by Sable. Foley plants a kiss on Sable and she seems to like it. Mero doesn't like it though and he smacks Foley in the slash zone. Dude Love wins by DQ. Wow, Mick Foley feels pretty far from the main event scene here, it's a low D. Match 15, Raw, Badass Billy Gunn versus Dude Love. Billy beats him up around ringside with the Road Dogg getting in his face on commentary. In the ring, Foley almost wins the backslide before he's smacked back down. Foley mashes his face into the corner 10 times before he tries sweet shin music, which is reversed in dramatic fashion. Gunn hits the famouser, but he's too busy dancing to make the pin, and Foley beats Gunn with a double arm DDT. The Outlaws are bad losers though, and Billy Gunn leg drops the tag titles into Foley. Pretty entertaining, it's a C. Match 16, Raw, Dude Love versus the Road Dogg. Road Dogg dodges a punch and he stops Foley's dancing spot. He's having a good old time in there. It continues going badly for Foley with a big knee to the gut. Foley is getting distracted by Billy Gunn here too. Road Dogg does a worm, everyone's just screwing around in this match. Nice drop kick from the Road Dogg now, followed by some more dancing. Dude Love has had enough and he does a mandible claw for like a second. He seems like he's slipping into being Mankind. That is enough to turn the match and Foley wins with the sweet shin music and the double arm DDT. He even seems to be winning the post-match fight. That is until the Outlaws team up on him. They suplex him and he also gets DDT'd on the stage. They aren't even finished and they push a referee into him and knock him off the ramp and onto a table. It doesn't break. It's got to be a B for some of the bumps he took here. Match 17, Royal Rumble 1998. Somehow, Foley gets 3 shots at this match. First as Cactus Jack, then as Mankind, and finally the Dude Love enters the Royal Rumble. You might have thought that was in the wrong order, but it's not. So yeah, Dude Love enters towards the end of the match and he instantly eliminates Bradshaw. Dude Love ends up making it to the final 4. He even gets to do some tag team work with his former tag team partner Steve Austin. Foley hits the double arm DDT on The Rock and almost gets the mandible claw on Austin. Then Farouk just smashes him out of the ring like he's nothing. Well, he got to enter this match 3 times, and that's exactly how many people he eliminated. Not really that good, it's a D. At this point, Dude Love randomly turns heel during the feud between Austin and Vince McMahon. Dude is named the #1 contender for the world title because Vince doesn't want someone like Austin representing the company. Isn't hindsight a wonderful thing? Because Vince McMahon, yes, him, he doesn't want somebody like Austin representing the company. Match 18, Raw. Wow, what a main event we have here. Steve Blackman versus Dude Love. Dude looks a bit intimidated by Blackman's kicking ability. Despite that, it's Dude who hits the first strike with a big knee lift. Blackman dodges his next attack and he hits a dropkick. Foley slowly beats him around the ring. Blackman randomly comes back with a kick to the head and a sneaky roll up. The crowd are in silence. Foley tries to wake them up with some dancing, which doesn't get much more than a murmur out of them. Dude gets a 2 off a swinging net breaker. Blackman tries to put on an ab stretch, but Foley doesn't have any abs and he reverses the move easily. The bell suddenly rings and Blackman has been screwed. Is Dude Love in bed with Vince McMahon? Probably S&S. Match 19, Unforgiven in Your House, WWF title match. Dude Love the challenger for the Rattlesnake's belt. No feeling out process, Dude Love attacks him before the bell. It doesn't help and Austin clears him from the ring. Stone Cold hits the Luther's press and he's all over Dude. Austin reverses his DDT into a spinebuster. Foley dumps in his nappy of fear and tries to leave, but Austin isn't having that. He throws Foley off the ramp. It just wouldn't be Foley on pay-per-view without this. Foley eventually comes back to the ring by dodging Austin on the ropes. Foley holds him in a submission for a while. Stone Cold is triggered when he sees McMahon and he fights up, but Foley almost rolls him straight back down. It's a weird match because although he's the heel, Foley is mostly getting beaten up. The rattlesnake keeps smashing his leg into the ring pole. On the outside now, Foley manages a backdrop on the ramp. The big moves continue as Austin snaps and he suplexes Foley into the ring steps and smacks him across the crowd barrier. But as proven, Foley has a high pain threshold and he hits a net breaker back in the ring. He tries a clothesline now, but instead, it's a ref bump. Both guys slip out of each other's finishers, with McMahon desperately trying to revive the referee as Foley now does have the mandible claw locked on. But the ref is finished and they give up on him. Off his hand and counts the pin and that's how the match ends. Okay. Pretty good, but somehow it felt a bit anticlimactic. It's a weird gimmick to be doing as a heel. I'm not sure it works that well. It's a B from the Hawk though. Then they randomly decide that Austin has been disqualified for attacking Vince McMahon, so Foley now wins by DQ, but no belt for him. Match 20, Raw, number 1 contendership match for the WWF title. Dude Love versus a miserable looking Dustin Runnels who jumps Foley straight away. Dustin has a really nice t-shirt on here, I bet this moved a lot of units. Very creative. Dustin hits a bulldog as the Stooges get involved. That distracts him and when he turns around he has a filthy hand shoved down his throat and this one ends in just 2 minutes. I bet Foley's glad that was just a Sharpie and not a real tattoo. It's an S. Match 21, final match, Over the Edge 1998 WWF title match, Falls Count Anywhere match with Vince McMahon as the special ref. It's kind of a weird match because it feels more like Austin versus McMahon, but no, it's Dude Love versus Stone Cold. The Undertaker's at ringside for this one too. The match starts with Vince trying to protect Dude from a beatdown. Austin isn't having that. Foley barges Austin down and Vince tries a fast count. The dead man isn't happy about that one. The crowd chant, Vince is gay. How things have changed. Austin takes away Dude's fake teeth and throws them into the crowd. Stone Cold bashes Foley out of the ring where he gets the ring with Austin hitting a net breaker. Mick Foley tries coming back with the mandible claw but instead he ends up with his head trapped between the ropes. Thankfully, his ear stays on this time. Foley is enraged now and he throws Austin across the commentary desk. They're not sure which way this one's going. Dude now hits a swinging net breaker on the concrete. Now it's a back body drop from Foley on top of a car. That gets Foley a 2. Then just gets more and more hard hitting with Austin taking a backdrop to the floor. Both guys are starting to look like they've been through a war. Foley hits a snap suplex on the concrete. He misses his follow-up elbow drop which gets Austin a slow 2 count. We return to the ring where Foley is back in control but Austin desperately fights on. Dude starts using a steel chair on Austin. Foley hits the double arm DDT on a chair and I have no idea how Austin kicks out of that one. Austin blocks his next chair shot and he's got the chair now. Foley takes a chair shot which leaves McMahon cringing. Apparently, so much so that he's too shook up to count Austin's pin. Then Foley hits McMahon with the chair by mistake. This is a ref bump. Stone Cold hits the Stone Cold Stunner, but there's no ref. A new ref counts 2 before the Stooges drag him from the ring. Dude puts the mandible claw on. Patterson tries to count the pin, which the dead man disagrees with and he chokeslams him through the commentary desk. Briscoe goes through the other table. Austin hits a second stunner to Foley and still no ref, so Austin just simply grabs Vince's hand and counts to 3. Not sure that's how it works, but never mind, game over. A very chaotic match with complete overbooking, but these were the times. It's a fairly generous A. I did like it, but I'm not really sure if it's an A or a B. Benefit of the doubt for this one. Following this, McMahon would fire Dude Love, who just shrugged his shoulders and came back as Mankind. Must be a good laugh having multiple personalities. Imagine just turning up at work one day and smacking people and then coming back the next day as a slightly different person and still keeping your job. Sounds like the Hawk's dream. Anyway, a weird period in Mick Foley's career that people rarely talk about. Definitely the least discussed face of Foley. I have to think the gimmick suited him better as a good guy. He didn't really seem to quite fit with McMahon. There wasn't really any balls to the wall incredible matches here, which is probably why the gimmick is least remembered. I thought it was okay, but the focus was never truly on him. It was either on Austin or McMahon, which is kind of a sign of the times. It would have been nice to see some focus on Foley. He was definitely entertaining and fun, but the matches weren't anything to write home about. Considering Mick Foley is mainly known for the hardcore stuff, and them taking most of that away from him with this character, he still did quite good anyway. Ultimately, he's the best we've had so far on this season. I loved Unabomb Kane, but that run was more shock about the high-flying stuff that he did. He wasn't polished and he wasn't confident. I think it shows what a legend Mick Foley is that he could completely change his character and still do good. I doubt many others could. So the final grade is a B from where I'm stood, and if you don't agree with that, I'll show you the meaning of fatherhood.